Okay. Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm Amanda.
Oh yeah, and I'm Peggy.
And you are watching the Junction Fiber
Millcast. And we're glad you're watching with us.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
You're not feeling that so great.
I'm feeling much better today, but I was sick as a dog yesterday. I had something that's been sort of headachy, and I was like, what is this? That sort of was building all week, and then yesterday I just had the pounding headache of a fever of like 103 last night.
Yeah, and I'm sitting close to you without a mask, so I'm really hoping it's just something...
I think it's no one else in my house is sick, and I feel a lot better today. And it's weird. It has no other symptoms. It's just like headache and like banging. I don't know.
Sorry.
Anyways.
Sorry.
But anyway, I'm feeling a lot better. How are you?
I'm great. We had a really terrific weekend. We drove to Portland, Maine. All my siblings. I'm one of 6, and we all gathered in Portland, Maine to celebrate my brother John and his wife's 70th birthday. And they didn't know we were all coming, so it was really a lot of fun.
And they got to meet the grandkids.
And that was really fun. A lot of my siblings have not met all of my 3 grandsons, and we gathered Friday night at Loretta's house with the 3 kids. It was fun. We just had a great time, and it was a great weekend. Perfect weather, too.
What did you do?
We caught up. We talked.
Okay.
We went to the beach. Yeah,
okay.
It was all
the
good.
beach. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all.
Nice. Well, we did have some fun on Saturday before I came down with whatever this was. We went to Billings Farm.
Oh, isn't that a great...
I had never been.
You're kidding.
No, but Maeve is like really at the age that it starts to be a fun thing to do. So
Absolutely.
She loved to see the cows, and the turkeys made quite an impression on her.
Is that right?
Reason.
Oh, and I love it. They do a great job.
They really do. Oh, and they have the sunflower house. So Billings Farm is in Woodstock, Vermont. It's like the Rockefeller Farm, and it has all these farm animals, but it's like if a farm was like vacuum cleaned. It was just like so spotless. And then they've got this beautiful garden. They've got in the summer, I guess, this sunflower castle basically. Yeah. And we had a great time. They had a big quilt exhibition. They always do. Did the barn quilts, but also like fabric quilts. I took
up on the second floor.
A couple pictures. Yep, up on the second floor. So that
it
was
is
really
a
cool.
really well run place.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Yeah, if you're coming to Vermont, definitely put Billings on your to-do list. Yeah, Simon Pierce, Billings, all kinds of reasons to come to Vermont.
Yeah, but my mom was visiting, so that was sort of the impetus to go with the kids, and we had a nice visit.
Right. Well, as usual, we've been busy at the mill. We're continuing our summer series of wah colors.
All right, we teased this last week, but
you saw it on the cones, and now
we have it finished.
Oh, it's just so fun.
This is Tang.
Yeah, we're naming it Tang.
We couldn't think of a pop star that had from the 2020s that had orange as
but we got some great suggestions. I have to say thanks for the suggestions, but we went with Tang.
Yeah.
Nice tight Tang.
So this is Tang. Oh, we still have a few skeins. Let me go grab the pink so you can see them together.
The Pink Pony Club
and Tang. And I'm glad you're watching on the Millcast because I think it's going to capture the color. I do all of our photos, and I have to say I have been struggling to edit the product photos for these neon yarns. I just think they're so bright that it's hard to capture these colors. So I think on video, hopefully you're seeing them a little bit more clearly, but they are just so bright. They're so fun. Yeah. And so Tang is now available, and we're just kind of doing small batches of these. Yep. So if you want them, get them now.
Get them now. We've got a few more fun colors coming our way, but Tang is on deck and now available as of 10 o'clock on?
10 o'clock on Tuesday. Yeah, so
right.
So get it done. But then separately from Tang, we have another fun little thing we're doing. It's believe it or not, it's Halloween knitting season.
And you know what? Already at Walmart, and people are starting to talk Halloween. I just heard a story that like Halloween is bigger than Christmas.
No.
Yes, in terms of millennials tricking it out. My oldest daughter, she turns her whole front porch into. She's already started the theming of it for trick or treaters. She's going to have her own costume. I think it's really a big thing.
Well,
we're jumping in.
And so as we do,
right.
Make some yarn about it. So we came up with two.
Oh, this is so fun.
Well, basically a fun color combo.
Yeah.
So here is our Halloween version of Making Tracks. It's our DK weight Making Tracks. We're calling it Phantom Flora.
Yeah.
I should put a little more spookiness in my voice, but it's a really fun blend of lime green and this really bright purple, not pink, purple.
But it's variegated and it moves, so it's solid purple and then it gets to a lighter purple. Yeah. It's really fun. And to go with it, man, how fabulous is that?
So we've got these are new labels for us. Experiment.
We've never done this before.
Yes.
This is black merino, Spanish black merino that's dyed. It's dyed jet black. It's hard to do serious black, and this is black.
Yes.
And we're calling it an experiment because we had never spun with this before, and it feels soft because it is all merino, but it has its imperfections that a little bit of slub here and there, but it's really lovely. And man, is it jet black.
Yeah, we think these would be amazing together to create a Halloween project.
Yeah.
And we thought it would be really fun to do a little Halloween promo. So what we're doing is, while supplies last, if you get 2 of our Halloween skeins, which are the black or the Phantom Flora, so you could do 2 Phantom Floras,
2 black,
or 1 of each.
Yeah.
Or you can get more than that, but at least 2. You're going to get a fun surprise pack of
This is so cute. Can you see that?
Stitch markers.
Okay. Are we opening them or are they going to be surprised?
Yeah. We can open them live. So this is, I don't even know what's in this yet, but Katrinkles, which is the company, they're from the Northeast as well, and they do stitch markers. They do our custom stitch markers, but they also have a whole line of stuff. So anyways, we're trying this out, and it's a little trick-or-treat bag of stitch markers. Okay, so let's see what's in it.
Okay.
It says it glows in the dark.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm going to be very careful to open this.
Oh, you want to reseal it?
I do.
Well, maybe you want to keep it.
Maybe I do.
Oh, I love the bag.
Okay.
That's a deep bag.
All right.
I see. Okay.
Okay. Ooh.
Oh my gosh. Hold on.
We'll hold them all up individually. This is so fun.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, what have you got?
Okay, I have a haunted. A haunted cemetery. Haunted cemetery.
I'm immediately drawn to this really cute, clear, rainbowy little ghost.
Oh, okay, black pumpkin.
All right, we've got, this is a little wooden ghost on like what looks like a little seal.
Oh, I love this. And a bone.
So cute.
I bet you that bone glows in the dark.
Yeah, some of them apparently glow in the dark.
That's a lot. What do you get, 6?
1, 2, 3,
5.
4.
I've got 2.
5.
3,
I think 5.
5.
So
adorable.
Yeah, so while supplies last, I think we got like 50 of these little bags. If you order 2 skeins of our Halloween yarn, you'll get some free stitch markers.
Very, very fun.
And you get the joy of having a little surprise.
Yeah, a little surprise bag.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's that.
Who? Yeah.
Well,
Halloween.
Are going to cut to something completely different. Although I'm sort of teasing it by wearing my little torkle.
Okay.
A couple of weeks ago, a woman, Laura Portwood-Stacer, posted on her Instagram that she did this really, really beautiful bubble bandana of Stephen West as a test knit for him with the yarn that we included in our mill box, our very first batches of the Sport Weight Making Tracks Zinnia and the Sport Weight Farm Fresh.
Yeah, it was really
Lite.
Cute.
And so I saw it, and I was like, it'd be fun. So I've seen her before all over social media. She does a lot with our yarn. She does a lot of Ona Walden's patterns. And I was like, let's have her on the Millcast if she'll be on it. So I reached out to Laura because not only is she knitting with our yarn, she is a Stephen West test knitter, and I wanted to find out about that.
Yeah.
And also, fun fact, she has been on Jeopardy many times and won twice.
You get to go on more than once?
Apparently. So we're going to talk a little bit about that.
That's interesting.
But she has her own podcast as well called Trivial Knits, and that is, I believe, her Instagram handle as well. So I had her on to just chat knitting and projects, and I'll let her take it from here.
Let's hear.
So I'm Laura Portwood-Stacer. I have been a knitter for about 20 years. I am a Millcast super fan. I've been watching for a long time. I watch every week. Sometimes I'm like up in the middle of the night on Monday nights and I watch the episode right away. And actually that channel was one of the things that inspired me to start my own YouTube channel. So I now have one with just a few episodes. It's called Trivial Knits, where I just share what I'm working on, and I share trivia about yarn and fiber. And that's kind of my thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. You seem like you're quite the prolific knitter, based on what I've seen from your Instagram and from your YouTube channel. And so we've asked you here today to sort of go through some of the knits you've made, with our yarn or with other people's yarns. But just you had specifically a really beautiful bubble bandana that I would love for you to show off. But yeah, let's see what you've been knitting and talk about how the heck do you knit so much?
Okay, let me grab the bubble bandana here. All right, so this is my latest finished object, actually. And so this is see if I can show it. It's like a long, skinny scarf type of thing. I'll put it on. Where I am, it's like 90
beautiful,
degrees.
so fun. And this is a Stephen West.
Yeah, so this is one of Stephen West's newest pattern releases. And I actually test knit this for him. So I got a little bit early access to the pattern. And I had this yarn from the Mill box subscription from this year. So I think this came in April, this yarn.
Yep.
So as I'm sure many fans of the Millcast can identify, it's Making Tracks and Farm Fresh Lite.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, the yarn was kind of a surprise in the box. So I just was like waiting for a pattern to come along that I could use it with. And then I got invited to test knit the bubble bandana and thought it would be a great fit.
Yeah, it's so fun. For those of you that don't know, we have our quarterly mill box, which is a subscription, and you don't know what you're going to get ahead of time. But yeah, that was our very first, that was sort of our launch of the Sport Weight Farm Fresh and Making Tracks. And it's so fun to see it all knit up. I was watching your latest episode of your knitting video podcast, and you were talking about how it's actually kind of supposed to be small, like the Sophie scarf, and you sort of just kept going with it. And I love that. I think it's a great way to use up yarn and it turned into a bigger scarf.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So this is part of a ebook collection or a pattern collection that Stephen West just released that has 4 like mini scarves. But yeah, it's the way that they're all constructed from tip to tip. I'm pretty sure. So that means you can just kind of keep going until you use half your yarn. So that's great for things where you don't determine the quantity in advance, like if you get a surprise box or an advent or something like that.
Yeah, such a great idea for the advent calendar. I love that you brought that up. That's great. And while we're on the subject, not to jump around too much, you mentioned test knitting for Stephen West. I would love to hear just anything about what's test knitting like. How'd you get into it? What is it?
Yeah, so test knitting is basically just knitting a designer's pattern before it's released to the public. And so many designers will enlist test knitters to just sort of see what the experience of knitting it is like. Often the pattern has already been edited and is like almost ready to publish, but it's just a little bit of early access to see just what will happen when real knitters encounter it. So I've test knitted for a few different designers, but I've been like a Stephen West super fan since about 2019. I mean, I've been knitting his stuff for longer, but that was about when I started sort of obsessing a little over his back catalog of patterns. So I've knitted like, I don't know, at least 60 Stephen West designs.
Oh my gosh.
And so when, and so I follow him on Instagram, and he had just like a pattern that I guess he didn't have enough of his like regular test knitters for. So he put out like a little bit of an open call. So I answered the call, was like, I will knit this. It was socks. I don't even knit socks really, but I was like, I want to test knit for Stephen West. So I did those socks, and then I got sort of added to the regular pool of test knitters. So I don't get access to all the new patterns, but as some of them come out, his test knit coordinator puts out calls, and then I'll step up and say, oh, I have yarn I could use for that, and I'll do it.
Great. So it's not like a paid job. It is sort of the benefit is you get the early access to the pattern and you get to make it first.
Yes. Yeah. So and for different test knitters do things differently. I don't receive free yarn. or anything to do the test, so I usually use what's in my stash already. Although they often offer a discount on if you do want to buy the yarn from the yarn maker. So yeah, it's really just like, I'm going to be knitting anyway. I know I'm going to want this designer's new pattern. So, hey, it's like just kind of gives me a fun motivation to do the thing.
Awesome. Well, I see behind you, speaking of test knitting, another project that I know you were a part of, test knitting. You want to talk about that now?
Yes, sure. So this is the Lindal Cardigan. Which of
Beautiful.
course you
It
have the
looks
knit along
so
going.
good.
Thank you. I haven't trimmed my ends yet, so sorry
It's all
about
right. We're not
that.
checking.
Yeah. Of course, I learned about Ona Walton and her Lindal patterns through the Millcast, because they make such beautiful use of making tracks and the junction fiber mill yarn. So I had knitted a few of her designs and posted them on Instagram, talked about them on my YouTube channel. So that's kind of how Ona and I met. And then when she was putting this through testing, she invited me to be one of the testers because I was so familiar with her patterns.
Yeah.
So I was just part of the
Any
pool for
thoughts?
that. And that was a very, I mean, basically the same things you have both been saying on the Millcast. It's like a sweater unlike anything you've ever knit before. I'm not even a big sweater knitter, mainly because
That's right. It
kind
sounds like you mostly do that's part of the trivial knits thing, right? Like we'll get to the trivia portion in a little bit, but it sounded like you like to knit things that you consider to be sort of like fun little like knit sprinkles or what have you.
Yeah, things that are trivial, right? So I don't make garments. They're not for warmth. I live in Los Angeles. Like I have no need of wool garments pretty much. So they're just for fun. So I don't usually do sweaters, because I don't need them and because I like something kind of engaging. I don't want to do rounds and rounds and rounds of stockinette, So this sweater sort of fits that bill. This is not rounds and rounds of stockinette. This is, many different little short row wedges that are very sort of ingeniously put together to construct the sweater.
Yeah, I almost feel like the main color, like the stuff that would have been in stockinette if it was like a quote unquote normal sweater pattern, she sort of like sneaks it in there where you're like, oh, actually I've been doing a lot of like normal knitting, but it doesn't even feel that way because you still have to sort of pay attention and engage with the pattern.
Yes, yeah, you got to be turning in the right spot and everything. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's awesome. You were a part of that with Ona. What else have you got to show us?
Well, I have a few more things I've made with junction fiber mill yarn, so I'd love to share.
Cool.
I'll grab the pile here. All right, we'll go from like biggest to smallest. How about that?
Okay, fun.
Okay, so I've got this is the Lindal shawl.
Ooh, yep, I know. I recognize that yarn. That's in the clearing. That looks beautiful.
Yes. That is my favorite colorway of making tracks.
Yeah, it's one of mine too.
Yeah. So this is, the largest sort of scarf pattern in the Lindal series, and I love it in this yarn. It's just like so warm and cozy. Again, not that I need warm and cozy that much, but
yeah. How did you end up as a knitter in LA?
Well, I'm from Michigan originally. That is where I started knitting.
Okay.
And then it was just kind of my hobby. And I do run cold. So, when it's 60 degrees here, I will be wearing something like this. But yeah, it's just a hobby. It's not like a thing I do because I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a
so
former Wisconsinite, I like to see more Midwestern knitters. That's great, but sorry you can't wear it on a day-to-day basis in California.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's too nice out.
Right. Yeah. For me. So this is one of my favorite things I've ever knit. Really. I mean, I just love the pattern and the yarn and the way it turned out. Okay. So then next, this is oh shoot, I'm blanking on the name of it, but the designer is Amba O'Brien. Oh, Kira. It's the Kira shawl.
Okay, it's so fun.
Yeah, so it's again, I think it's knit tip to tip. So, you can just start with whatever quantity of yarn you have and knit to the point and then go back. And this is mosaic knitting. So
I was gonna ask,
Yeah. So it's color work, but you're only ever working with one strand of yarn at a time. So there's no stranding in the back. It
Yep.
You're just doing kind of back and forth with one color, then with the next color, and you slip certain stitches depending on the pattern to achieve the color work look. And so this is, I actually used Cascade 220 for my solid color here, but the Making Tracks color quick quiz, you know what it is, right?
I'm wondering, is it thistle? It's hard to tell on the screen right now. Or Easter
It's Valley
egg?
Fog.
Oh my gosh, Valley Fog. Okay, it's so hard to get a read on like how saturated
Yeah.
is that? Yeah, Valley Fog is our
Right.
most neutral. Okay, now I'm
Yes.
seeing it. Love it.
Yeah, so it is very neutral, and actually I was gonna pair it with like a gray, but it ended up being not enough contrast for the
Yeah, you need the
mosaic.
contrast for something like that.
Yeah,
For sure.
so that's when I just pulled in the Cascade.
Okay, beautiful.
So yeah, love this one. Okay, then I've got my Lindal Torkel.
Yes, yep, also
Which
in
I
the
also
clearing.
did. Yes, yeah, so it's a different kind of skeins, right?
Absolutely.
So I ordered these for the knit along last year and wore this to Rhinebeck.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and when I was at Rhinebeck, I picked out the sort of darker skeins to make the shawl.
Yeah, it's
because I
so
could see them
fun.
in
It's so
person.
you get to like when you're in person, you do really see how like every skein is different. And we try to send people what they want, and now we have order notes through our website. So if you have a specific thing in mind, you can tell us. But definitely easier to just find us at a Fiverr festival.
Yes, yeah, I was so happy to see it in person. So yeah, so this is the Lindal Torkel. You know, just makes a little neck scarf. I love this one too. This is great for LA because you just like throw it on if you're cold and put it with the jacket.
I did mine out of in the clearing too, and I did the version that was actually like a half of that too. So it's not quite this small as the Sophie, but it is like, maybe even more LA friendly, I would say.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and that's the great thing about those patterns is like there's like actually 4 different patterns in one just for like the little scarf. Okay, so this is a hat.
Yep.
That
Is that also
used
Valley
my
Fog?
leftovers. Yeah, so it's Valley Fog and the Cascade. But of course, like Farm Fresh solid would be great for this as well.
Yeah.
So this is the Great Gingham hat by Jessie Maid.
Nice.
So
it's
it's very
subtle.
subtle. Yes, yeah. So this one is stranded color work, so it's got sort of the 2 layers. And it doesn't use that much of the yarn, so you don't get a lot of the color shift, at least in the the part I was using, but it's a nice little subtle change there.
Yep.
Okay, and then my last one is the Read This hat,
Ooh,
which I also did with the knit along.
And
so
you
this
customized the lettering.
Yes, I did.
Wow, I'm so impressed.
So this, so it says Jeopardy. I don't know if you can see. So I am a 2-time Jeopardy champ. And one of the things I learned when I was there on set is that the crew does not have like Jeopardy gear because I don't know, why Jeopardy hasn't given them like special hats and jackets, but most of the crew also works on Wheel of Fortune because they're shot at the same studio.
Okay.
So they're all like wearing their Wheel of Fortune gear, but they don't have Jeopardy gear. So I wanted to make something for one of the contestant producers who was like so nice and helpful. And he didn't have any gear. So I was going to make him this hat. I actually ended up making 2 versions. So I gave one to him, but I did this one to keep for myself. And yeah, so I wanted to use the Jeopardy font. So I took the chart that you provided and sort of altered it just a little.
I think it looks spectacular. Very well done. Above and beyond.
Thanks.
So just a total sidebar, what was that like to be on Jeopardy? Is that you've won it twice, but you've been a part of Jeopardy. Like, how did you do that? What is it like?
Well, it was amazing. It's kind of like, okay, I've crossed one of my bucket list items off. I've been on Jeopardy. What is there to live for after this? But, I was actually on it for the first time in 2021, and it was like the peak of the pandemic.
Okay.
So and I live in Los Angeles, so I was so local to the shooting. So it was sort of easier for them to get contestants who are local than people who had to fly at that time.
Yep.
So that was like part of what got me in, I think. I took the test and did the audition like everybody else, but
yeah.
yes. But so it was such a fun opportunity. But it was like, lockdown conditions kind of. So there was like social distancing, and we didn't get to do all the things that Jeopardy contestants usually get to do, like walk around the studio a lot and everything. So a couple years later, so I was on it 3 times then, I won twice. And then a couple years later, they had an invitational tournament for champions from the COVID era who had like not gotten the full experience. So they invited us back to do a tournament. So I got to just meet a bunch of other Jeopardy champions and spend more time with the crew and everything. And that's when I made the hat.
Okay. One more thing before we wrap. I just want to know, so you've knit all this. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are knitting just as much as you, but I have to say, where do you find the like are you just the world's fastest knitter? Are you knitting at night? Do you have a job where you can knit while you work? Or how do you get so prolific with your knitting? I'm so impressed.
That's a great question. I think it's maybe a little of all of the above. I have to say, I've been knitting for like 20 years, but I really have like ramped up the production since lockdown in 2020. And it was kind of a coping mechanism, and I also had like 2 very small children. I think about the ages your kids are now, like during the pandemic. So
okay, that's even harder.
Yeah. Well, I just, once they were kind of the age where they would like sleep or be still or be like occupied with things. Soon. Once they're 2, they really turn a corner, I think.
Okay.
I mean, it depends on the kid, of course.
Totally.
But so kind of, once that point hit, it was like, okay, if there's a free moment, I can sit and like knit, and it kind of keeps me sane. I also like have, a little bit of insomnia, so often I am up in the middle of the night just like knitting.
It's a great thing to do in the middle of the night, for sure. That's when I did a lot of that when I was having the pregnancy insomnia. So that makes sense. But I'm sorry to hear you don't sleep super well.
Thanks. It comes and goes. We'll see. And then
are your kiddos knitting yet?
No, I mean, well, so my daughter really wants to learn. I don't know that I have the patience really to, I actually teach for a living, but I teach adults. So, and it's not like a physical task, a technical kind of thing. So, I might get her some lessons or something.
Okay.
We did knit a little scarf together for her stuffed avocado. I don't have it to show, but
so cute and so LA. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just kind of knit in any extra moments. And of course in LA, you spend a lot of time in the car. So, like if my spouse is driving, I'll be knitting over on my side. So
that's nice. We love a spouse who's designated drive the knitter around.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
That's so great. Well, Laura, we talked a little bit before, but on your podcast, you leave everybody with some knitting related trivia, and I have very last minute asked you to do the same for us as a special treat for the Millcast listeners.
Yes. Yeah. So I sort of collect trivia to share on my podcast. These are not questions that ever get asked on Jeopardy because they're a little bit too specific. So I'm taking my podcaster prerogative to ask them. So I have this little book that I keep my knitting trivia in. So I found a question that might be interesting for people. Let's see. Okay. So on the Channel Islands, which are Jersey and Guernsey are 2 of them. I actually don't know if there are more, but it's a big knitting hub. A lot of knitting happens there. We're all familiar with like Jersey fabric, Guernsey sweaters.
Yep.
So, and both of those terms, Jersey and Guernsey, are generic terms for stockinette fabric, apparently, I learned as I was gathering this trivia. But so on the Channel Islands, knitting was so popular in the 1500s and 1600s that a specific law was passed because knitting was so popular. So the trivia question is, what was the law? What did the state need to come in and say about knitting because it was so popular?
Okay, so people should write in the comments what they think, and then maybe on the next episode we can follow up with the answer. Does that sound good to you?
Sure. Yes, sounds
Okay.
good.
Awesome. Well, Laura, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the internet and hopefully in person at a festival soon.
Yes. Yeah, hopefully. Thank you so much for having me.
Isn't that
Wow.
fun?
Wow. I could never get onto Jeopardy.
I know, I
just
could
saying.
not get onto Jeopardy either. But she left us with a little piece of trivia. So
Oh, yes.
we will announce the answer in the next Millcast.
Oh, well, wait a minute. Do I try to make, you can make it in the comments?
Yeah. Put your answer in the comments.
Okay, cool.
If you can guess it.
All right, very good.
Yes.
I've been knitting. You don't have your knitting?
I totally spaced.
Because you don't feel well. That's
I don't
okay.
feel well.
I don't have a whole lot. The driving over to Portland, it's a good chance to knit, but I am at a place where I can untangle. So that's the sweater
Nice.
that I've, yeah. You
Okay. We've said this a million times. This is the knit along.
Yeah, this is the
Lindal
knit along.
sweater. Wow,
Yeah.
Peg, you are gonna be done soon.
Well,
I want
I
to
think,
flip it. So it's a cardigan, and
yeah,
this
I've done this part, right.
you can actually. It looks like a cardigan.
Yeah, it does look like a cardigan. I've got it halfway through the second sleeve. I am flying to Denver, Colorado for a wedding of a very, very dear old friend's daughter is getting married. And I figure with the airfare, with the flying,
Yeah.
I will be done.
What? So they definitely don't confiscate needles on airplanes. I've never tried
No.
it because I'm too scared.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, no.
Okay,
No,
you're good.
that's the funny part. They won't let you travel with a butter knife, but they'll let you travel with,
with
you know,
these
with
surgical.
these, yeah, that you definitely could do some damage with. But
Well, I told you before, I think, on the Millcast about the time Cody sat on one of these.
oh yes, yeah. Ouch.
Literal puncture
Oh,
wound.
am I right? You hadn't gotten married yet?
No, yeah, it was pre-wedding.
And yet he he followed through. That's
and
impressive.
supported me getting deeper into my fiber crafts. Yes, he's a great guy.
I can't wait to steam block this a little bit, but I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
it's looking really good. The colors.
And then
are
of course
just awesome.
I'm like going, what kind of buttons? What I don't know is, because there's all that purple, do you let the buttons blend in with the background, or do you want the buttons to jump and match the purple? I'm leaning towards blend in with the background and let just the purple across the yoke.
This is the fun thing about making your own clothes. Only
Oh,
you
yeah.
get to decide.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not like this. But I do know people who, yes, you get to decide, and then you second guess yourself every time you put the outfit on, which is kind of annoying. I'm not going to do that. I swear I'm not going to do that. All right.
Okay. Well, we'll just leave you with our next upcoming events.
Yes, which is the September open house.
Yep, September
6th.
6th.
September
3 to
6th,
5.
3 to 5. It's going to, I've already predicted that the weather will be perfect. And you know what? It's going to be here fast.
I know.
I just can't
Well,
get-
you know, September 1st, Lewis turns 6 months, so that's already.
Click, click, click.
I know. So.
But that means we're heading into knitting, true knitting weather, which is great.
Yeah, no. So come for the September 6th open house. It might be 90 degrees here. We don't know.
It's going to be fantastic. And then, of course, if you are heading to Vermont and you do think you want to go to Billings Farm or Simon Pierce, the best time to come is that weekend in October. October 4th is our Millapalooza, which is going to be just so much fun here at the mill and then up at the farm. Find out all about it on our website, because that is adjacent to the Vermont Sheep and Wool Festival.
Yes,
which is going
and
to be great.
I have to say, this morning Cody made us pancakes because my mom really loves pancakes, and we were having our maple syrup, and I got really excited about the maple creamies that we're going to have at Millapalooza.
I've said this. I've never had a maple creamy.
We're
Can't
gonna
wait.
have the best ones ever.
Yeah, they're going to be there.
Yep.
So, all right.
All right. Well,
Feel better.
Thank you very much. I hope I don't infect everybody else.
No, you won't.
I'm sure.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.